Hey everyone, it's Twist65 again, and today is part 4 of my Star Wars themed diorama build. In this video, we look at building the base for the models. We start with a rectangular piece of half-inch foam insulation and start adding bits of foam from other projects to the base. I wanted it to look like the AT-ST and troopers were walking a path through the big woods out on patrol. So I built up a ridge along 2 of the connecting sides and a third part ridge about halfway down the other long side. Setting the ridges up this way will force the view down the long axis of the diorama, kind of a forced perspective. But this will also allow me to keep the build smaller, and by using backdrops to build out the forest beyond the physical diorama space, it'll make it feel like it's bigger than it actually is. While the glue dried on the base, I worked on the trees. Since I wanted the trees to be huge, I only planned on making the trunks, and that started with cutting down various sizes of balsa wood. I only had square stock. If I had rods on hand, I would have used those and it would have made the whole thing a lot easier. And then I found some DAS clay. This is an air drying clay that is very easy to work with. I started by roughing up the wooden surfaces and then added flattened sheets of clay to the wood. I kept adding these sheets of clay and working them by hand into the shape I wanted. I built 2 at a time, which gave the outer surfaces of the clay some time to start the curing process, which allowed me to carve some textures into the trunks. After the trees were dried, it took about 2 days to completely dry, I realized I hadn't left any exposed wood for the attachment to the base. Some quick work with a drill and cut down bamboo skewers glued into the holes solved that issue. I was going to use Sculpt-a-Mold to build up the base like I normally do, but I decided I had a bunch of DAS clay remaining and I would try my hand at using this for basing material. I really like the longer working time and the easier cleanup, but it's a different medium and it costs a little bit more to get the same amount of coverage, but I figured it would bond better with the clay trees in the end. The trees are just pushed into the foam and the clay is built up around them. The last preparation steps were to press the AT-ST and the stormtroopers into the clay to kind of put footprints down before it dried and cured. After the clay was completely cured, I started the painting process by using a rattle can to spray everything a dark, satiny brown. The trees were then heavily dry brushed with different shades of gray to bring out the texture, and the ground was texturized by sponging on layers of browns, which also added depth to the ground color. I picked up various lichen and plastic plants from my local big box craft store and moved outside, where everything was given a good spray of flat dark green paint, and then a light green flocking was added while the paint was still wet. On the bits that were to be left lighter color, I just put flock on using the old hairspray method, which is a nice simple adhesive that dries clear and flat. While the green spray paint cured and the hairspray dried, I came back to the base. Using white glue, I added a spring green flock. I really liked the way it looked when the glue dried. And now it's time to add the low shrubs we made earlier. They were attached, again using white glue, and any hard plastic fake plants were attached with a little bit of Gorilla Glue to keep them in place. And there you have it, a quick simple update on where I am with the base on this project. And in our next and final video in this series, we paint the backdrops and add all the models to the base. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing for more model builds. It really does help to feed the algorithm.